Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
All right, everybody. Today we're talking about 14 hidden truths about success that most people don't talk about. So we're going to be diving into some things and some ideas that you may or may not have considered, and things that may seem really obvious to some and to others just haven't even crossed your mind. So this is going to be an interesting topic, and some people might disagree with some of these things, and that is okay, but these are things that I have found to be true. The first one is, life is not a fair system, and I think we all know this. There are people who have different opportunities, who are born into different lifestyles, who have more financially to start with, but we all have the opportunity to achieve greatness, and it all depends on how much grit and perseverance and how strongly we go after our goals and what we want. And we need to realize that no matter how many opportunities we have, whether we were born into a family with a lot of money or whether we weren't, whether we had a family who our parents stayed together or whether we didn't, whether we had a top-notch education at private university or we went to public schools, it doesn't matter. Some of the most successful people in the world don't have a college education. Some of the most successful people in the world come from broken families. Some of the most successful people in the world didn't grow up with one of their parents or grew up in foster homes. So we have to remember that the opportunities that we create for ourselves are up to us and nobody else. So we have to decide what we want and what we're going to go after and how diligently we're going to push for those things. And when we experience setbacks, which everybody does, we have to decide if we're going to get up and dust ourselves off and keep going, or if we're going to let it stop us, we're going to let it knock us off the wagon, whether we're going to just decide, well, I guess this isn't for me because I ran into a little bit of resistance, or if we're going to say, no, my goals are non-negotiable. I am going to keep pushing no matter how many times I get bucked off this horse, I'm going to get back on. So yes, the system may not be fair. You may not have the same opportunities as some, but the opportunities you create are far greater than the opportunities that are given to you at birth. The second thing is, as you progress in life and as you get hyper-focused on your goals and who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live, you're going to realize that some relationships are not going to serve you anymore, and that's just part of growth. So there's going to be friendships that you have at certain phases of your life that are no longer going to serve you, that are no longer going to fit into your lifestyle, that are no longer going to fill your cup. And that's okay. And unfortunately, a lot of people spend too many years resisting this action of releasing people out of their life that no longer fit what they're trying to do. But it needs to happen. If you are on a path to growth and all of the people in your life are not, and they're constantly holding you back, then you are letting your progress become hindered by those around you. So there are times that you're going to have to decide to put space between you and people that you may have been very close with at some point in time, some people that you may love, some people that may be your family. And that's not a bad thing. That's not saying that they are bad people. That's not saying that you don't want to be around them. It's just saying that at certain times in your life, you're going to have to prioritize spending time with people who are building you up and filling your cup and helping you grow and move forward. And not every person in your life is going to be able to play that role consistently. You're going to have times where the people who you felt were the most important to you no longer are. And you're going to have to accept that and be willing to move forward with that. Or you're going to have to be willing to understand that you may be held back by the people that you allow in your space. I heard a quote once that said, as you become more successful, your circle becomes smaller. That's why Ferraris have 2 seats and buses have 50. And I think that it's such an interesting thing to look at, because I can say that from my own experience. When I was younger, I had a huge group of friends, tons of people I spent time with, tons of people that I kind of spread myself thin amongst. And as I've gotten older and as I've become a parent and after, getting married and going into a career and buying a house and moving, I have slowly dwindled off that friend list. And whereas I used to have maybe 50 friends that I spent time with, I have really kind of minimized the time that I spend with people down to a handful. And yes, there are people that I speak with consistently And that number may be larger, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I take the time and energy to spend time with those people. So I think that that's a big differentiation to look at is, yes, I can give somebody the time and energy to text them and say, how are you doing? How's life? But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go spend my time and my day with that person. So you need to be particular about who you're spending time with, who you're letting into your space, into your circle, sharing your thoughts with, sharing your dreams with, and letting your energy be used up by. And our time and energy is a scarce commodity. So we have to be strict and selfish with it. If I'm being completely honest, if you want to grow to your full potential, you need to spend your time with people who are building you up, not bringing you down. And your circle is going to become smaller as you get more hyper-focused on your goals, and that's okay. The next thing is that short bursts of intense work are not going to replace daily consistent action. So we have to think of success like brushing our teeth. So daily maintenance matters. We have to show up every day and do the steps. And this is where the idea of non-negotiable habits come in. So every day, I get up and I do my devotional. Every day I tell my family I love them. Every day, 5 days a week, I go to the gym. Every day I get 10,000 steps in. Every day I prioritize nutritious food. Every day I try to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep. There are certain non-negotiables in my life that I try and stick to consistently. And yes, there might be days that I have this new big idea, this new goal, and I might deep dive and for 3 hours grind on this thing to try and get some progress made. But then once that wears off, once that short burst of energy happens, I have to work to build this thing consistently. So if you think about your health is rented daily. You could be in the best shape, have 6-pack abs, low body fat, super healthy, high endurance. But if you don't keep working towards that consistently, you will fall off of those habits. You can gain the weight back. You can lose that endurance. And that goes for a lot of things in our lives. So if you think about building a business, you can be an incredibly successful business owner, making tons of money, top of the game. But if you don't show up to work, if you don't keep doing the things that got you there, then your business is slowly going to fail and you could easily go broke. So every day we have to show up with consistency and putting that drop in the bucket every day towards our goals and the things that we care about and the things that we're working on, because we need that consistent action to maintain the momentum and maintain the maintenance towards the person we want to be, the life we want to live, the goals we want to achieve, and all of the things that we're after. So remember, short bursts of intense work are like big bursts of motivation. They don't last. We have to work on the maintenance factor. The next one is that waiting for motivation is a trap. Success is about doing the work even when you don't feel like it. And this is especially true when it comes to health and fitness or building a business. So from a health and fitness perspective, I've been exercising consistently for about 16 years. And there are days I don't want to do it. Now, for me, it's non-negotiable. So I show up and do it unless I'm sick, unless I'm, traveling and I absolutely can't, unless, my kids are home and they're sick. So there has to be like a very strong reason why I don't show up and work out, because whether I want to or not, I know I'm going to feel better if I do it. And I tell my clients this all the time. I never go work out and regret it. I've never gone, I don't want to work out today. And then I go to the gym and I go, God, I feel worse. I feel terrible. I'm so upset I did that. No, it doesn't work that way. You may regret overeating. You may regret sitting on your ass all day and not doing anything. You might regret drinking too much, but I guarantee you will never regret getting to the gym and working out. You will never regret moving your body. So if you're constantly waiting to feel motivated, you're not always going to feel motivated. Some days you just have to have the drive and the consistency to say, I'm going to show up and do the thing because it's what's expected, because this is an investment in my future self, and I'm going to make it happen regardless of how I feel. And the people who are most successful in life can separate themselves from the idea that they always need to feel motivated in order to get the thing done. This goes for business too. Every day, if you're self-employed, or even if you're working for somebody else, every day you have to show up and do the steps. You have to do the work. And you're not always going to feel motivated. You're not always going to want to do it. But if you want to be successful, if you want to be one of the top level employees, if you want to build a successful business on your own as an entrepreneur, you have to show up and put in the work every day. And yes, some days we don't have as much to give as others, and that's okay. But if you have 40% to give today and you give 40%, you gave your all. So remember, it's not about being 100% all the time. It's just about showing up and doing what needs to be done. Now, this is one that a lot of people struggle with, but the most successful people have routines and are repetitive and do mundane tasks with consistency. Excitement comes from the results, not the daily grind. You might be on a fitness journey and you might be showing up and doing your workouts, tracking your macros, drinking your water, getting your sleep in, hitting your fiber goal, getting your steps in, doing all these things. And that may seem mundane, that may seem repetitive, that you're having to do this every day, every day, every day. And that part isn't exciting. But when your pants start to fit looser, when you start to see your muscle definition, when you start to feel stronger, when you can physically do something that you couldn't do previously, that's where the excitement comes from. The most successful people you know are really good at just doing mundane tasks consistently. Consistency is key. If you want to be successful, we just have to keep showing up and doing the work. And most things, that's the case. There's just a couple simple steps we have to follow in order to be successful. So if you want to be a highly successful person, if you want to be at the top of your game, if you want to win at whatever your goals are, you need to get good at doing small, mundane, repetitive tasks consistently. Now, this is one I think a lot of people struggle with, especially as new business owners and entrepreneurs, but we have to protect our time. Success isn't about the opportunities we take, it's about the ones we reject as well. When we start going down a path to changing our life, we're gonna have a lot of directions we can go. We're gonna have a lot of opportunities, a lot of choices to make, but we have to get hyper-focused about focusing our time on the things that are gonna yield the greatest success and the greatest progress. So when I ask people, what are your goals? And they say, I want to get healthy. I say, okay, what does that mean to you? And they say, well, I need to start lifting 5 days a week and doing yoga 5 days a week. And I need to drink a gallon of water a day and take my vitamins every day. And I need to start reading books every day and doing affirmations and meditating and cold plunging and going in the sauna and stretching. And they list off all these 10 things and they change everything at once. And 3 days later, they fail because they didn't prioritize their time properly. They weren't protecting their time and understanding what felt reasonable and sustainable. So instead, what we have to do when we have big goals is we need to focus on the needle movers. So what's the most important thing we need to focus on first? If it's health and fitness, it's working out and nutrition. Those are the 2 things you need to start with. You don't need to implement all of these other things that people do. You need to start with the foundation, and you need to get the foundation down before you move on to the next thing. So we need to protect our time. We need to be realistic with how much time we can allocate towards a thing, no matter how much we want it. We all have limited hours in the day, and we need to decide what feels sustainable, what feels reasonable. You know, the amount of hours you have in a day is different if you're a single person with no spouse, no kids, and just focusing on your grind than if you have a spouse and 3 kids at home. It's just different. So you have to be realistic for what serves you, not somebody else, because what somebody else can do does not matter. What I do does not matter compared to you. You need to do what fits you and what feels right to you and what you can reasonably accomplish in your days. So we need to be specific about our time and realistic about the expectations that we set with it and what we want to accomplish with it. Now, this next one kind of plays off of what we just talked about, where it can't be you versus me. When we're on a path to success, focusing on others is a distraction, and true success comes from beating your previous self and not anybody else. So your goals and your aspirations need to be set in comparison to you, not me. Comparison is the thief of joy. And if we are constantly comparing ourselves to somebody else who maybe has been exercising longer than us, is more educated than us, has been building a business longer than us, any of those things, then we're setting ourselves up for failure because we're comparing ourselves against unrealistic expectations because we don't know how much time and energy somebody's put into something. So when we look at them and we say, gosh, they built $1 million business and I'm 2 years in and I've only made $50,000 a year. Well, are they working more hours than you? Are they paying coaches for the shortcuts to get to their goals? Do they know more than you? Are they more educated than you? Did they have funding for their business that you didn't have? You see, if you just go into it and say, I'm not where this person is, okay, that doesn't matter. You don't know what that person had or did that differs from you, so comparing the two doesn't make sense. It's not apples to apples, and it'll never be. So you need to focus on yourself. Don't distract yourself with comparison of where you are versus somebody else and their journey. Focus on your own journey. Focus on the steps it's going to take to get to your end goals. Focus on the time you can allocate to get there, and put a drop in that bucket every day. And some days you're going to be able to put more drops in it. Some days it might just be one. But if every day you're showing up and you're moving a little bit closer to your goals and you're not comparing yourself to others, you are going to get there that much faster. Now, here is one that lots of entrepreneurs struggle with, and it's that success won't mean anything if you're completely burnt out, you hate what you do, and you don't feel good when you get there. We need to prioritize rest. We need to prioritize reflection, and we need to prioritize our mental clarity on the journey. So that's what makes us able to keep showing up long term. If we are constantly burning the candle at both ends, never resting, never giving ourselves a day off, never doing what we need to do for ourselves, for our health, for our mindset, for our families, then we're going to burn ourselves out. We're going to quit, or we're going to get to the end goal and we're going to hate it because we haven't learned to set boundaries with it. We haven't learned to let ourselves have the grace to enjoy it. We haven't given ourselves permission to enjoy the success that we have achieved along the way. So we have to prioritize rest. We have to reflect on why we're doing the thing, why it makes us happy, and what we've accomplished so far. That way, when we get to the end goal, we can be happy with the results instead of burnt out and wanting to quit. Now, this is one that a lot of entrepreneurs have figured out, and a lot of people who want to become entrepreneurs don't realize, is that the knowledge you have that seems common, that seems easy to you, that is very understandable, is something that somebody else would probably pay you a lot of money to understand. And we all have different skill sets. We all have different knowledge bases. And we have to remember that what we bring to the table is different than somebody else. So as we build a business, as we try to become entrepreneurs, as we're developing our ideas for the future, we have to remember that passion can fade, but skills grow with practice. So whatever it is that you're trying to market to give to people, if it's a skill set that you can build and learn and teach to somebody else, then you can always be successful. So success comes from what we're good at, not just what we love. And not just what we're good at, but what we're good at and what we can teach others to be good at as well. So we have to remember that if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to decide, what is the skill set I have that other people lack? What is it that they want to know? How can I monetize giving it to them? How can I teach this to them? How can I take what I'm passionate about, what I know a lot about, what could add value to a lot of other people, and how do I turn that into a business? So it's not just about what we're passionate about. It needs to be a skill set that could be learned, harnessed, improved upon, mastered, and sold. Now, this is one that's interesting, and some people disagree. On your journey of growth and educating yourself and becoming a better, newer version of yourself, you're going to realize that your mindset is going to change over time based on the knowledge you receive. And this could be knowledge you receive from coaches, from spiritual leaders, from books you read, from people you meet. It could be any number of things. But as we grow, we're going to be challenging our own thought processes and beliefs that we've had. And as you grow and your thought processes change, people are going to say, well, you didn't used to believe that. You're a hypocrite. You didn't used to say that. And all I can say is that changing your mind because you've received new knowledge, new education, you're developing, you're growing, you're learning, your mind and your ideas and your thought processes does not make you a hypocrite. It just means that you're growing. It means that you're learning. It means that you're accepting that at one point in time you didn't have enough knowledge to be making a judgment or have an idea about a certain thing, and you're now getting better. So don't let people who look at a past version of yourself tear you down because you've grown and they haven't. It's okay for us to change our minds. It's okay for us to learn and have different opinions than we previously had. That doesn't make us a hypocrite. That just means that we're growing and learning more, and that's not a bad thing. Here's one that a lot of people struggle with. Your mindset is going to shape your reality. If you don't believe you deserve to be successful, no strategy is ever going to work. Your mindset will hold you back before anything else. And if every day you wake up and tell yourself, I'm not good enough for this, I'm not smart enough for this, there's no way I could be successful, I come from an unsuccessful line of people, and there's no way that I could do this, then you're not going to do it. But if you wake up every day and you tell your mind, I am capable of amazing things, I am intelligent, I have a lot to bring to the table, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to change my future, I'm going to change the lives of others, and I can do this, then you're already halfway there. Most people don't have enough belief in themselves, and they don't believe that they deserve to be successful. And if you don't believe that you deserve to be successful, why would anybody else believe you? You've got to show up, believe in yourself. Believing in yourself is a full-time job. There's no days off. You're going to have days that it wavers, where you question it, where you have imposter syndrome. But when push comes to shove, if you're showing up every day and you're saying, I'm taking the actions it takes to be successful because I know I can do this, then you're gonna get there. Do not let your mindset get in the way of your progress and your future. Now, here's the thing about growth. A lot of growth requires other people. And it's not just about who you know, but how you maintain those relationships. So if you can constantly give value to other people and be helpful and not just be a leech, you don't want to just be that person who continuously takes and asks for things and needs things. You want to be somebody that adds value and helps others when you can, because people who can help you are going to remember that you showed up, that you gave value, that you were helpful towards them, that you were willing to give what you had when they needed it. So remember, maintain relationships. Remember that it's a really powerful thing to have a networking group, to have coaches, to have people in your corner that you can lean on when you need things, but make sure you're giving value to those people and you're not just the one constantly taking. Now, one of the biggest things that I think people struggle with as they build a business is they're constantly chasing the money rather than the freedom and the life that they want. People are chasing the dollar signs. So for me, it's not about the money. It's about the freedom the money will give me. The money is a byproduct. I didn't become a business owner because I wanted to make millions and millions of dollars. I became a business owner because I realized that the salary I was being paid working for somebody else was a salary I could make on my own, and then I got to dictate my schedule and what I did with my time and do something that filled my cup. I wasn't in this to become a millionaire. I wasn't in this to become highly successful and build an empire. I did it solely for the fact that I wanted to be able to take summers off with my kids to travel when they're on summer break. And I knew that I could replace my salary I was making working in technology with something that would bring me joy. And in this day and age, if anybody is after $100,000 a year, let's call it that, an easy $100,000 a year, anybody can make $100,000 a year doing their own thing. Your knowledge base and what you have to offer is highly marketable. And you have to remember that if the company you're working for considers you a top-notch employee, that you constantly bring what you can to the table, that you have a knowledge base that is worth a salary, then the open market will likely pay you 5 times as much to provide that knowledge directly to them. So if you are a great employee and you've considered branching off and doing your own thing, I highly encourage you to do it. But don't focus on the money. Focus on what you get to give people. Focus on the value you're providing. Focus on how it fills your cup, and the money will come. And the last thing is, we have to not worry about other people's thoughts about what we're doing. You know, we obviously need to be respectful and kind and all of those things. But if you're scared of what other people think as you go on a journey to change your life and become a business owner or healthier or a better parent or just a different kind of person, and you're worried about what other people think, you have to remember that most people are too busy worrying about themselves to truly judge you, and their opinion of you is none of your business. It doesn't matter. Where you're going has nothing to do with them. It's between you and you. And the sooner you can separate yourself from other people's thoughts and opinions, the more successful you're going to be. Because at the end of the day, you don't have anyone to answer to but yourself and your family And I'm talking your family unit. So if you have a spouse, if you have children, that is your family unit. What your parents think, what your friends think, what your coworkers think, it's none of your business. Focus on you. Focus on the goals you have. Focus on where you want to go and what you're trying to do, and everything will change. When you can release the expectation that everybody has to agree with what you're doing, everybody has to be on board, everybody has to believe in you, they don't. All you need is for you to believe in you, your spouse to believe in you, and your kids to believe in you. Outside of that, you got this. It's between you and God. So stop letting other people have control over your future and the outcome of your life because you're so worried about what they think. Let them stay stuck. That's not your life. That's not your prerogative. That's not your future. You do you and get where you want to go and then tell them about it. Don't worry about it now. But here's the thing. Success can feel messy sometimes. It's about waking up to chaotic days, but showing up anyway. We're going to be handling objections. We're going to be having awkward moments. We're going to push forward. Some days we're not going to be motivated. Some days we're going to be super motivated. And on the days that we are, we need to grab the bull by the horns and run with it, because every day you're trying to change your life, you're going to run into new obstacles, new challenges, but we have to decide that our goals are non-negotiable, that we're going to persevere, we're going to keep pushing, and we're going to change our lives. You have the power to do that, so don't let anybody stand in your way. Start moving that boat a little faster every day. Do what makes the boat go faster. Put a drop in that bucket every day to invest in your future self, and eventually you're going to get there. But you guys got this.